Hello everyone. In this particular video we will see what is natural language processing and how to process textual data, and actually we are going to build a general intuition about natural language processing. So as we all know that natural language processing means your inputs or your data set will be a text based data set, and all you will have is a bunch of texts, and you have to map your outputs with the inputs, I mean with the texts. And so let's see what we are going to have. So in the beginning we will have some texts. Okay, so what will be these texts? It can be a document, or it can be a paragraph, or it can be a sentence, or it can be a part of sentence. Okay, part of sentence. Okay, after that, when you have the text, so as you have the text, so we will have to pre-process the texts. We will discuss how to pre-process and why is it necessary to pre-process the text just in a few minutes. So then we will start pre-processing the texts. After we have pre-processed the texts, then we will perform feature extraction from these texts. So then we will extract some features from these texts, and then we will feed these features to a classifier to classify our texts, and then we will evaluate these texts. Okay, so natural language processing can be of different types. It can be a document processing task, it can be a paragraph processing task, or it can be a sentence processing task, or it can be a part of sentence like hello. I mean it can be a word based classifier. Okay, so as we have discussed it, that what we are going to do. So let me start by talking about this pre-processing part. So what we are going to do in this pre-processing task is that we are gonna perform a bunch of algorithms on this pre-processing section. Actually we are going to do something like let's discuss. We are going to remove some unnecessary parts. Okay, let me start by giving you an example that might be a very good way to start. Let's consider a sentence which is go to your house. Okay, okay, let's change some things. Okay, next let's discuss let's see another example, that is how are you. Then let's consider I am sad. Okay, so this is how our texts will be. We will have a bunch of texts. So it can be a text where you have used a lot of punctuations which have nothing to do with this sentence. Let's say go to your house, so it means it's an instruction. Okay, it's an instruction. Then how are you? This is a question, right? This is a question, so this is a question. Okay, so let's consider which type of sentiment does these sentences carry. Let's go to your house. It has no sentiment. It's like it's neutral. It's completely a neutral sentiment. Okay, then how are you? It's actually neutral. I am sad, so we can term it negative sentiment because this is sadness. It's negative. And I'm really happy. So this is what we call positive sentiment. So basically sentiment can be of three types: positive, negative and neutral. So based on the nature of these sentiments, we can classify our sentences. So let's suppose I'm going to give you a sentence, and your machine learning program or your machine learning system has to predict whether this sentence carries positive sentiment or negative sentiment or neutral sentiment. So how are we gonna perform that? So as you have noticed that these punctuation marks have nothing to do with the sentiments. So whether it is neutral or it is positive or it is negative, it has nothing to do with this punctuation marks. So at the beginning we would like to remove the punctuations. Remove the punctuations. Okay, then you have noticed that here is a capital letter. The GO is has started with capital letter, and then let's suppose I'm considering another sentence where we have used the go word once again, and that's gonna be he'll go home. So just look at it. These two words have same meaning, but they look kind of different because this word has started with a small g and this word has started with a capital G. So your next task will be to make every single character small letter. No? So we have to perform capitalization. Okay. Next, here as you can see, these emoticons or these emojis bear a very great and actually a very important part of sentiments. So these emoticons can mean a lot of things. If I use this sad emo, then it means negative, and if I change it to this one, then it means kind of bothered or whatever you say. I mean disturbed or angry. If I do it like this, it means he's joking. So these emojis bear a very important role when it comes to sentiments. So we have to process these emojis, and we have to consider them about how we are gonna plan on considering these emojis. It's a very important task. So we have to handle the emojis. How we are gonna do it, we'll see that in the later videos. Okay, so next here. Next, let's suppose these are all tweets collected from Twitter. So a user has written I'm really happy, and another user has written I am really happy. So this is how we are going to so your system might consider and I am as different words, but as you know, I am and both mean the same thing. So these abbreviations sometimes create a lot of issues, so we have to handle the abbreviations. Okay, so let's write handle the abbreviations. Okay, next slangs. Let's suppose there are, as you know, slang means informal words. Every word has some almost all the words have formal and informal versions. So sometimes when we are in informal environment, we use different type of slangs, but if you are in the same in a different formal environment, then you might like to use some formal words. But it might be possible that both of those sentences that you used, whether you are in formal condition or in informal condition, they might have the same meaning, but as you use different words, your machine learning system might consider them as different sentences and might predict in a wrong way. So that's why we have to handle the slangs. So Okay, so next part will be handling slangs. Okay, next let's suppose someone has written I am really happy, and another has written I am really happy. So sometimes when we are using social media, we would like to use some very short forms, and some people like to use long forms, just as I have written happy in a short form like HPY. So both of these mean the same thing, but we have used two different versions of the same word. So we have to correct these spellings, and we have to handle these. So spelling corrections. Spelling corrections. Then the last part, that's gonna be stemming actually. So let's suppose I have written I am studying, I have studied, and I will study. So as you can see, study, studies, studying, all of them mean the same thing, but we have used some sorry, I have written it wrong. I've studied. Okay, so but as you can see, we have used three different versions of the same word, study. So we might if we don't handle them perfectly, and we don't handle these issue that the same word but in different faces, they have some different structures. So if we don't make them all look similar, then your machine learning algorithm might mispredict that it might consider study, studies, and studying as three different words, but as we know that all of these are similar, same words. So we have to handle this, and we have to convert. When we are using machine learning, then we will have to you convert all these words into the same word as study. Okay, so this task is called stemming. So we have to perform stemming. So last but not the least, that is let's suppose this word, go to your house. Here to has nothing to do, this word to has nothing to do with the sentiment that it is bearing. This is neutral. This sentence is neutral, but this word to has nothing to do with it. And same is here. R, this word R has nothing to do with the sentiment, and M, it has nothing to do with the sentiment. There are a lot of words which are redundant, and they are actually redundant informations, and we don't need them when we are predicting in sentiments in texts. So in that case, we might have to remove them, because as you know that when your system is fed with redundant informations, then your system might mispredict. So that's why we have to remove these words, and this task is called these words are called stop words, and we might have to remove the stop words. So remove the stop words. So it's not necessary to remove the stop words all the time. If you're working on neutral sentiment analysis, then you might want to remove the stop words. But if you're working on detecting the tense of a sentence, then you might want to keep them, because you know when we are dealing with tense, then stop words just like to, are, am, these words play a very vital role. So depending on your task that you are going to perform, you might have to choose any of the pre-processing tasks, any one of these pre-processing tasks. Okay, so that's all for now. In the next video, we will discuss about feature extraction. So see you next time.